Okay, so I am starting my presentation. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Faisal. You are the uh, your paper was very nice. Cyber security and network safety instruments for digitization of Pakistan information. A review by Dr. Faisal, and you are presently working in the Ministry of Human Rights Commission, Pakistan. My paper is a little bit different. My topic is emergence of India as a superpower, prospects and challenges. So I would like to, at first I would like to thank Dr. Mustafa Latif Imek, Director of Institute of ICSAD, Institute of Economic Development and Social Research, Republic of Turkey, and the coordinator of the 4th International Black Sea Modern Scientific Research Congress, which is going on from 6th to 8th of June at Rise in Turkey. So I told that my topic is emergence of India as a superpower, prospects and challenges. Actually, you see, this is a part of my recent research on the topic of the secret keys of development in India. It is on the basis of that book I have prepared this paper. Actually, in this paper, you know that India just concluded 75th year of independence. Same also you, and in India from 2022 to 2047, Amrit Kal is going on. So this is the golden period, which is considered by the Indian government and the people, a large section of people, that during this section India will have to work hard. India need to be a developed country, so the wholehearted participation of all the people are required for that purpose. And on that basis, I have prepared this paper on the book, and the ultimate basis is my book, the secret keys of development in India. And I myself, Dr. Keshav Chandra Mandal, I have been doing research for last 23 years on different topics, different subjects of social science. Mainly my topic of interest is gender empowerment in local governments. I have studied sustainable development goals. I have studied our national education policy, state politics, and development studies of India. And I have made some comparative studies of women between India and USA, like that. And all my 15 books so far I have written are based on research mainly. And this is my latest book, The Secret Keys of Development in India. Right. So before presenting my paper, I would like to say that this paper is based on my latest book. So you all know that just India completed 75th years of independence, right? So my aims and objectives of this paper or of this work are a few. I would like to share with you. The aims and objectives are to examine the real socio-economic status of people in India, to examine gender status in India, to ascertain the problems standing in the way of becoming a superpower, to provide some recommendations. Mainly, these are the four aims of writing this paper. And the methodology, you see, desktop research methodology I have adopted for this research. The study is mainly based on primary as well as secondary sources of data, and the secondary sources remain government and international documents, different reports, and the journals, magazines, and newspapers. And to supplement the theoretical knowledge, some interviews have taken place with some spiritual leaders and some general people also. And research time, it took mainly 3 years to complete this work, from March 2022 to May 2023, and research period I have taken or adopted from 2014 to 2023. This mainly 9 years during the rule of the President Prime Minister. And so before going in details, I would like to say that can India be called a superpower? This is a very vital question. You see, regarding this question, there are two schools of thought. One school of thought considered that it is not possible. India is having so many problems. India, you see, malnutrition is there, poverty is there, unemployment problem is there, bad governance is there, lower education rate is there, and so many other problems and so many other socio-economic problems are there. And in such a situation or in such socio-economic condition, we cannot say that India is a superpower. On the other hand, another section or another school of thought considers that yes, India has done well, and India is also doing well, and it can be called, it may not be called now, but after 25 years, if India goes in this pace, then we can call India as a superpower. Just a minute. However, whether India can be called a superpower or not, I would like to share with you a few data. So India is now the world's most populous country with 1.42 billion population. So this is a vast population, and if this population can be used positively, if they can be trained skillfully, intelligently, and emotionally, then these human population can be turned into a into India's human resources. Okay, so this can be turned into India's wealth. And you see, every day India is giving birth to 86,000 babies, whereas China's this figure is only 49,400. So India is growing very fast in terms of population growth. So this is a great strength of India. Number two, India's defense budget is the world's third largest. Where if the United States of America spends $370 billion, then China spends $261 billion, whereas India, though little less, still India spends $71.1 billion in defense sector. So in the world, India is the third largest spender in defense sector. Number three, India's economy transferred from fragile 5 to top 5. Just in 2014, India's India's position, India's GDP was India was in 10th position out of top 10 economies, while at present India is the 5th largest economy in the world. In these 9 years, India has been able to beat Russia, Canada, Italy, Brazil, France, and even our former colonial master, United Kingdom. So this is a very good achievement of India. And number three, we can say in 9 years, from 2014 to 2023, India's GDP has increased substantially. We can feel proud. We can definitely we are proud of this, because so it is in the third position. It is in the 5th position. India is now having $3.8 trillion economy, while the USA is having $23.32 trillion economy. China is having $17.73 trillion economy. Japan has $4.94 trillion economy, and UK, our colonial master, is just immediately behind us. They are having $3.3 trillion economy, right? So Indian economy is very good and it's rising. Whereas India's GDP growth, number 5, I will say that India's GDP growth is also very promising. If you see the top, if you see the World Bank data, you will find that world's top 10 economies are having lesser GDP growth than us, because India's GDP growth has been highest in top 10 economies in the world. That is now it is at 10.7% rate. Its GDP growth rate is 8.7%, while the USA is having, US's growth rate is 5.9%, China is having 8.1%, Japan 1.7%, Germany 2.6%, UK 7.5%, and France only 6.8%. So we see that India's GDP growth is the highest among the top 10 economies in the world. See, and then if you see that current rate of central government debt, of the GDP, these large economies or these top economies are having too much national debts of their as per their GDP rate. See, you see the whereas India's position is the best. You see, India is only having 46.5% of GDP borrowing. GDP's total 46.5% is India's loan actually, or central government debt. Whereas the USA is having 120%. China, the record of China is not available with the World Bank report. Japan is having 220.5% debt of their central government, right? Central government debt of their GDP, and then UK is having 186% central government debt, and France is having 116.5% GDP. GDP debt of GDP. So this is a very good trend of India. Indian economy is now so strong. Indian defense is so strong. Indian agriculture is so strong, and then India's India's infrastructure. Every day India is making 34-kilometer roads, and India's infrastructure, in other terms, railway tracks, ship ports, and harbors, and then air routes. I mean, these things are rapidly changing or rapidly advancing, which is an envy to many people in the world, right? So unemployment rate, if you see that India's unemployment rate is a little bit, see, this is only 7.3%, while the USA is having 3.6% unemployment rate, China is having 4.9%, Japan is having 2.6% unemployment rate, Germany is having 3%, France is having 7.4%, Italy is having 8.1%, right? So in terms of women in parliament, this is also a figure to be seen. See, India's women, the empowerment of women can be measured by women's participation in the highest decision-making body, that is parliament. While the USA is having 29% women parliamentarians, China is having 25% women parliamentarians, Japan is having 10%. In that case, India is having only 15% women parliamentarians, Germany is having 35%, France is having 37%. So digital transformation, India's digital transformation has become great. India is making a tremendous advancement in digitization. India's rupee cards and India's other online transactions are being used by millions of people in India, and it has transformed the life of millions of people in India. India's education rate is also very good, and now India's national education policy 2020 is the best so far made by India since its independence. And India is the highest milk producing country. India is the largest democracy. India is the highest populated country. India's agricultural goods are producing the highest in the world. So in many spheres, India's fintech companies are almost 90,000 now. So these are the spheres where India can boost off, where India can India can say that yes, India is developing, and it is developing very rapidly. And on the basis of all these things, India can say that yes, India has prospects of being a superpower. It may not be now, because if at present India's economy or India's GDP is only 3 point some, it is less than $4 trillion, whereas the USA is having $23 trillion economy. So India will have to work very hard. We have full faith in our youth and students, because they are the backbone of our country. If they are full of vigor and vitality, they are having innovation, they are having innovative ideas, and they are the real assets of this country. If the youths of this country work very hard, if they rise early in the morning, if they start working, if they keep continuous engagement in their studies, if they read seriously, and if they grow their technical skills, and if they participate in economic activities and agricultural activities, business activities, and if our districts set up at least 20 business hubs, at least 20 small or medium scale industries in a year, India will surely become a superpower, and will be able to touch $25 trillion economy. Though the government of India is dreaming for a $5 trillion economy, I myself dream for a much better economy, that is $25 trillion economy, and I am very much hopeful that this might be very big idea, but it is possible to attain, because at present India is having 1.42 billion people. When in 2047, when India will be celebrating its 100th year of independence, India's population will be around 1.60 billion population, and out of if take only if the 50% population, and 80 million people, if the 80 million people earn around 2 lakh rupees per month, then it can be possible to achieve this target. And I am sure that India's gold reserve is too much. India's industrialists are performing so tremendously and so greatly, and our students are getting jobs of very good qualities in India and abroad, and their remittance is also very good. So from all those perspectives, we can expect that India's economy is growing, India's economy will continue to grow, and India will become a superpower. But we have to remember that India's growth rate is challenged by some problems, because India is having poverty. Still, India is having poverty. India need to uplift more poor people, and their income will have to bring above $2 a day. And India's gender parity, there should be gender parity in not only in parliament, from local government to parliament, and this should not be in merely lip service. This should be actualized, and both men and women should participate in economic activities, agricultural activities, and development activities, and in political decision making. Not only in political decision making, in all decision making bodies there should be equality between men and women. And then the education policy which has been formulated recently in 2020, that should be implemented properly, and it should be adopted by all the governments, both union territories and state governments. So if all the governments adopt this and implement this properly, I am sure that we can do a revolutionary change. We can bring a revolutionary change in our country. And if India grows, then the world grows. If India shines, then the world shines. And India shines depends on the people of rural areas. Because India still lives in villages, because nearly more than 6 lakh villages are there in India. So the people, most of the people are living, almost 80% people are living in rural areas in India. So unless India's rural areas are not being developed, India will not develop. So the policymakers will have to take care of that. And what APJ Abdul Kalam said, Pura, providing urban facilities in rural areas, those things should be kept in mind. And India's rural development is must. India's rural development is going on, but still it needs more speedy development, and corruption should be eradicated from our society. Like our Prime Minister, I am also a strong believer in eradication of corruption. It should be whipped out from our society, and the government should be more strict. It should bring more strict measures to control corruption, both at national and state level, and even in local level. Because see, corruption is eating away the money of the rural people. Corruption is eating away the money of local people or poor people. So those things should be controlled. And this population, we should not think that this population is a burden. This population should be transformed into our human resources by providing them education, by providing them skill education, they providing normal or general education, and make them happy, healthy, and proper conscious. We have to infuse in them, and some soft skills like patriotism, nationalism, love for the country, and fellow feeling, cooperation, and then what is saying, this fellow feeling. This soft and above all, this we should build. We should build tolerance towards each other, and mutual respect. Without respect, no family can rise, no society can rise, no country can rise. So we have to work hard. We have to devote for our country. We have to think first about our country, and then our self-interest. So national interest should be given the first priority. And if we all people work very hard, then I am sure that India will shine. India will shine, and India will shine. With this expectation, and with your kind, expecting your kind cooperation and assistance, and wholehearted cooperation for nation building, I am very much sure that India will shine. That day I may not see in my open eyes, because I may not live up to 2047, but I may not live here, but I will see the glory, I will see the achievement of Indian youths and Indian students laying on the green grass of heaven. Thank you very much. Thank you, Viksad. Thank you, Dr. Latif Emek, for giving me the opportunity to present my paper here. Thank you very much.